The Russo-Ukrainian War, it's one of the biggest conflicts of our time, and it's completely reshaping global politics. But to really truly get what's going on, you have to look past the headlines and the battlefields. This is a story about competing histories, clashing worldviews, and, well, some absolutely massive hidden stakes. So let's get into it. It all kicked off on February 24th, 2022. The world pretty much woke up to these words from Russian President Vladimir Putin. This wasn't just a speech, it was the declaration of a full-scale invasion, a huge escalation of a war that had really been simmering for 8 long years. And the global reaction? It was immediate. Condemnation poured in from all over. Massive sanctions were unleashed, designed to hit Russia's economy where it hurts. At the same time, a coalition of countries started sending billions upon billions of dollars in weapons and aid to help Ukraine fight back. But here's the thing, and this is so important to understand. This whole thing did not start in 2022. Not even close. The roots of this conflict go way, way deeper. So to really get the full picture, we've got to rewind the clock and look at the key moments that led us here. So let's take a walk down that long road to 2022. We're going to look at a few critical turning points that completely changed the game for Ukraine and its relationship with Russia. Okay, let's break this down. It really starts gaining steam in 2004 with the Orange Revolution. You had these huge protests that overturned a bogus pro-Russian election. It was a clear signal that Ukraine was starting to look west. Then you fast forward 10 years to 2014. Another massive protest movement, Euromaidan, kicks out another pro-Russian leader. Russia's response? They annex Crimea and kick off a war in the eastern Donbas region. Then you get to 2021. Russia starts moving over 100,000 troops to the border, all while telling the world, nope, nothing to see here, no plans to attack. All that history sets the stage for what is also absolutely a war of words. You can't understand this conflict without understanding the completely different stories that two sides are telling. And these aren't just talking points. We're talking about entire worldviews crashing into each other. And the difference between these two narratives is, well, it's night and day. On one side, you have Russia framing this as a defensive move. They say it was a preempted strike to stop NATO from getting too close and to protect Russian speakers by denazifying the country. Now, that specific claim has been widely rejected, especially since Ukraine's democratically elected president, Vladimir Zelenskyy, is Jewish. Then, on the other side, you have the Western and Ukrainian view. This was a straight-up, unprovoked war of aggression, an illegal invasion based on lies and a total violation of Ukraine's right to even exist. Now, to really get inside the Russian framing of this, it helps to know about this one political theory, the clash of civilizations. The basic idea is that after the Cold War, the big global fights wouldn't be about stuff like capitalism versus communism anymore. Instead, they'd be about fundamental clashes between the world's major cultures. And you can hear that clash of civilizations idea loud and clear in President Putin's own words. He often paints the West as this kind of modern colonial power that wants to run the world, with Russia standing up as a defender of its own unique civilization. In this view, the West doesn't want a free Russia, it wants a colony that plays by its rules. But, and this is a huge but, that whole narrative, especially the part about fighting Nazism, has been overwhelmingly shot down by experts. Hundreds of historians of World War II and the Holocaust signed a statement calling the rhetoric factually wrong and morally repugnant. They basically said it was twisting the memory of the Holocaust to justify a modern war. If you dig even deeper into this mindset, you find this idea of a civilization state. The thinking goes that Russia isn't just another country. It's a unique civilization with its own special values. And in that worldview, Ukraine isn't really a separate country either, but an inalienable part of Russia's own history and soul. So any Western influence there is seen as this corrupting, dangerous threat. It's an idea so powerful that the Russian Orthodox Church has officially labeled the invasion a holy war to defend holy Russia from what it calls Western Satanism. The counter-argument, though, flips that whole logic completely on its head. From this point of view, it was Russia's own aggressive actions back in 2014 that pushed Ukraine to run towards the West and NATO for protection. Some analysts even think Putin invaded not because he was afraid of a strong NATO, but because he thought NATO was weak and divided and wouldn't do much to stop him. And the result? Well, Finland got so worried it joined NATO, which instantly doubled the length of Russia's border with the alliance, the exact opposite of what Russia said it wanted. Okay, but this war isn't just about ideas and history and security. There's another huge piece of the puzzle here, one that's literally buried in the ground: the incredible economic stakes. Take a look at this number, $12.4 trillion. I mean, that's a number so big it's hard to even wrap your head around. So the question is, what on earth does it represent? Well, according to one major analysis, that is the minimum estimated value of the natural resources in the parts of Ukraine that Russia now occupies. We're talking about a mind-boggling amount of energy reserves, metals, and critical minerals. And you just can't overstate how important these resources are. Before the invasion, Ukraine was a treasure chest. It had huge deposits of 22 of the 30 raw materials that the EU itself calls strategically critical. If Russia gets permanent control of all this, it could dominate global markets for everything from grain to lithium, which, you need for batteries and pretty much everything. And here's the really wild part. Some analysts think that by grabbing these resources, Russia could actually profit from Europe's move to green energy, making Europe even more dependent on them in the future. The irony is just staggering. So you put it all together, you've got a war fueled by totally different versions of history, a deep clash of ideologies, and a fight for control over literally trillions of dollars in resources. With all of that in the mix, what does the future hold? Well, that's the big question. And for now, the path forward is anything but certain.